All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first time I've ever not done this every week because they just started doing patch rundowns or patches every 2 weeks instead of one. So this is my first 2 week patch, TFT patch 9.18. There's a lot of things to talk about, and honestly, this, from what I understand, is going to be a smaller oriented patch before the really large Yordle spatula patch in 9.19. Regardless, I still expect to see quite a lot of changes, especially because I've heard they've changed a little bit to item, XP, as well as a couple of key units that are currently strong right now. So, before we jump into stuff, let's currently talk about what's meta or what is getting played a lot. So I've played quite a bit on the current patch, and I would want to say, if you're talking about four like top tier comps, generally speaking, the four best comps in the game are Rangers, Void Assassins, Yordle Sorcerers, and Dragon Shapeshifters. Dragon Sorcerer Shapeshifters. And there's also, Six Shapeshifters is also one, but like generally speaking, they all kind of fumble together when you're talking about like the Demon Shapeshifter Dragon compositions. They all kind of intermix with 2 or 3 units, or 4 units kind of in between them. So those are the 4 best comps in the game. Comps that I would like to see some nerfs to across the board, or some buffs to the weaker comps that can come up into existence. Stuff like Gunslinger, stuff like 4 Wild would be nice to see buffs toward them. Anyways, let's keep going. This week, our focus is on a few of TFT's core systems. First, we're reworking the item distribution system with the goal of increasing the variety of experiences from game to game, while providing a more fair experience over the course of a single game. We also made changes to XP break points, champion pull amounts, champion drop rates. Last but certainly not least, Nico's help should help you complete those 2 stars and chase after 3 stars is the first consumable item in the mode. Outside gameplay, keep your eyes out for 3 little legends, Star Guardian variety later week. Also, keep your eyes open for a new soundtrack. Cool. So, first thing I have to say is, wow, there are 3 more little legends coming. I remember people actually asking me, can you believe there's so many little legends? I'm like, yes, dude, it's the only way this mode can make money. I kind of wish, and I've had some time to think about it, that their little legend system wasn't so expensive. It definitely feels like it's very, to some degree, gouging toward the wallet. And I really wish that there was a way. I don't mind having it kind of be like gacha based, but I do think for the price that it is more expensive than necessary. At least my immediate thoughts on the matter. Anyways, I don't really want to dwell on this because this is a patch rundown, not a economics rundown. So let's go on. Or a finance rundown, right? New stuff. Mystery box system. We've changed how items are distributed in PvE rounds. The goal is to keep a variety of experiences across many games, but also to make the game more fair over the course of a single game. Common boxes contain gold. Champions are Nico's help. Uncommon boxes contain item components. Gold champions, Nico's help. Rare boxes contain spatulas full of items. Gold champions are Nico's help. Every player gets approximately the same number of boxes across a single game. Every player gets approximately the same number of item components across a single game. Nico's help. Place a champion to create a 1-star copy of that champion added to your bench. Doing so consumes Nico's help. Okay. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, okay? But they're essentially changing how a lot of PvE rounds work. I think right now there's still quite a little bit. I don't really like the current system. I think I like getting no items on the first carousel or a shitload of items. But their middle ground feels pretty bad. So I think their goal of making the game more fair, I would say lowering variance is ideal in the current item system is not perfect. So they decided to do this new system, and honestly, this is all great, but like I don't know how this is gonna work out, right? There's no percentage. You don't know what it went from before percentage wise, what it means currently. You just get the approximately same number of item components and boxes across a single game. So we can just talk about in theory. In theory, this new system sounds pretty interesting. The one thing that I want to know is specifically like how much gold there are in common, uncommon, and rare boxes. Because the difference between you getting like a full item on a rare box and gold is the gold value have to be like 10 or maybe even potentially 20 gold to kind of counteract what you could potentially be getting from rare boxes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how much it is because there's not really much detail that you're given here. I will say the most important thing from what I understand is the fact that this is what I've been asking for since like the start of the game. I think especially because there's certain things like there's only 13 4-cost units in the game, and there's whatchamacallit, 10 5-cost units, having Nico's help kind of be able to streamline and smooth out your gameplay and being able to get the key 2-star units is really helpful. I've been asking for some sort of like Wisp type unit in the game or a Nico type unit in the game for a while. Being able to kind of if you're sitting on 2 units and you need a 3rd copy, and everyone's done the thing where they've rolled down like 30 gold, 40 gold, not been able to find it. Sometimes other people are holding on to it. Sometimes you're just unlucky. Being able to kind of lower that stuff and still being able to find like I guess the 2-star that helps your comp out, while also being able to like kind of make the strategic decision: do I use it on this unit or save it for a potential 5-cost unit, or to use it even earlier on a 3-cost unit to help snowball is kind of a big deal in my opinion. Anyways, let's keep moving. System XP adjustments. Due to slight inflated goal from new system, we made some adjustments to how much XP it takes to level. Okay. Increased by 2, 2, 2, 4, 6. I wonder if I should talk about all these at the same time. No, we can probably break it up. I don't think it matters that much. Okay, the first thing that kind of catches my, like, I just released a round by round guide for TFT before I was given the patch notes 2 days after I recorded it. So that kind of sucked for me. So I had to figure out immediately from looking at these what kind of changed from before to now, so to know if I needed to re-record something. The biggest change for me at the very least is gonna be the level 6. I think the level 6 and the level 9 are pretty big. So the level 6 is I guess level 5 and 6 maybe are going to be relatively big. The biggest thing about level 6 is that you tend to level at 3-1 or 3-3. 3-1 is a perfect interval. It is a multiple of 4, and 3-3 is another multiple of 4. So when you're lost streaking or when you enter the round, if you're win streaking, you level at 3-1. If you're lost streaking, you level at 3-3. If you're like open 40, I've done 3-3 quite a bit and I've died because of it, but like it's a greedy option, right? It's possible if you feel strong enough to do it. The new difference is you're gonna be leveling at 3-1, 3-2, and 3-4. 3-4 if you're a super greed lord. 3-2 is a perfect interval, and 3-1 is if you're win streaking or if you need the immediate power. Everything else seems pretty normal. Maybe the level 5, getting to level 5 on Krugs is going to be a little bit more difficult. But at level 7, which is 4-1, no one really waits for 4-2 to level, because it's late enough in the game where you need the power spike immediately after the creep round to match everyone else. So even though 4-2 is the multiple of 4, everyone levels at 4-1. And then the perfect interval for 8 is 5-1, but you would level at 5-1 anyways after the PvE round, regardless of XP, if you could. So I think the biggest change is just going to be for stage 3 for everyone. Stage 3 and maybe stage 5, or I guess sorry, stage 3 and stage 2. So levels 5 and 6 are the ones that are probably going to be the most important. And level 9, I feel I need to see how much more inflated gold there is, but I don't really reach 9 in many of my games. If you look at my games, probably I would say 1 in 7, 1 in 10. Even if I'm, you're only reaching this if you're top 3, and I'm just not reaching this that much, and that's okay. Like I don't think I should be reaching this every game. I think it's going to be even less likely that I reach it. This looks like a nerf back to their old version, and so even with more gold, I feel a little bit. I don't know when I would level to 9. Oh, the funniest thing is, and I'm reading in chat, is you do get 1 extra round to hyper roll, because originally you hyper rolled at 3-1, and it was 8 of 10 to go into level 5. Now you can hyper roll at 3-2, so you get an extra round, which I think is actually really funny. I don't know if it'll make hyper rolling more or less effective. That's just something interesting to keep in mind. But again, the biggest problem with understanding the XP adjustments is that it's taking inflated gold from the new system, which we have no details about. So because I can't really talk about the numbers, I just have to talk by feel. And from what I understand, the most important, what I feel is the most important changes are just to 6 and maybe to 5. let's move on from this because we're gonna get too caught up in this if we don't know the gold value, so it doesn't matter. Champion tier drop rates. We made minor adjustments to which tier champions will appear at late game. A few different levels. We're hoping these may clear early, mid, and late game phases. Okay. So they changed. Wait, what? Oh, wait. So they made it so level 3 has a higher chance of rolling 1 cost. Level 5 has a higher chance of rolling... Lower chance of rolling 1 cost. Higher chance of rolling 4 costs. Alright, so the most important thing is... hyper rolling seems a little bit better pre-5. That seems kind of... I don't know if I like that. Generally speaking, I think right now, hyper rolling is a somewhat valid strat for 1 comp, and it's very, very good. I think it's generally less skill expressive. It's more just like, well, I'm just going to press my D button and hope that I hit the unit. So I prefer that to be like more situational than something that people go for more of the time. Level 5, there's now 2% more of hitting 4 cost minions. This is actually kind of a big deal, especially pre-leveling to 5 will probably mean quite a bit. Like getting to 5 early, getting the 4 cost units is gonna matter a lot. 2% more, it's almost double the previous amount. And I remember I hit like Cho at just the game before. I hit Cho at Krugs, or I hit Cho at Krugs, and that was like a really big spike for me. Being able to get almost twice the chance of being able to do that for my comps, pretty nutty. Going into level 6, no more legendary chance. So this and this are huge changes. I kind of like them removing the legendaries on a like kind of a more like competitive standpoint, because it does sometimes feel kind of BS. I've had multiple games where I'm like forming a cannon comp, and then suddenly I get the Swain, sell off my entire composition, put all my items on my Swain, and then suddenly in top 4 because I found the Swain at level 6. I think that's kind of bullshit a little bit. And they made it so leveling to 9 makes it you get 2% more chance of getting more 5 costs, which I think is reasonable. If you're level 9, you should be getting more 5 costs anyways. So what are the takeaways from this? Higher leveling to 5 or pre-leveling to 5 is pretty important to get 4 cost units. Almost double the percentage chance you had before. Hyper rolling is more effective right now. Hyper rolling is pretty effective. Especially pre-5, it looks like, seems like it could be a problem for specific comps, especially Void Assassins. And you don't get the legendary at 6. Those are the biggest things. Level 9, you're hitting like 10% of the time, maybe. So not much difference there. Let's keep going. Champion pool sizes. It's proven to be too consistent to get 2-star tier 3 champions, so shrinking the back size to reward players to build the path less taken. Tier 3 champs in pool from 21 to 18. Okay, so I think a lot of compositions that are good tend to be based around 2-starring tier 3 champs. So when we were talking about the top tier comps, you see Ashe, you see Ashe and Rangers, Kennen and Yordle Sorcerers, and then you see some of the other shapeshifters kind of try to stabilize with like Shyvana before they hit like the 8 Soul 2, or they stabilize with RE2 plus items before trying to get a 4 cost unit. Like they have some sort of, I would say like 3 cost, like maybe Poppy 2 that tends to stabilize them. Lowering the amount of champs in this pool feels a little bit bad, I think. I understand what Riot's trying to do. They're trying to force everyone to do different comps, but there's really not that many different comps. Like this could only work if every single comp was like relatively the same power. But if it's not, then you're gonna run into problems where like, you know, the difference between me getting a 2-star Ashe and you getting a 2-star. Is there even a 3 cost gunslinger? Lucian? No, there's not. Shit. Okay. Some bad. It's Gameplank, right? Through 2-star Gameplank may be quite significantly different because the power of Gunslinger comps to the power of Ranger comps is much greater. Sorry, I forgot about Gameplank. That was my bad. So not all 3 costs are created equal. I will say though, this means you might need to scout a little bit more for 3 cost units, but honestly, with the introduction of Nico's help up here, it's probably okay. Like, generally speaking, it's probably not as important. This is probably not as important as the tier drop rates from before. Anyways, let's keep moving. Item stacking and clarity. We took a pass on items to ensure that they stack in a sensible way. We're informing you when they don't. Adding copies of items that do not stack will not cause them to bounce off any champions they're placed on. Unique items will be labeled as such in their tooltips. All items below are not intended to stack. These are all spatula items. PD Morello red buff. So this is great. This is just a quality of life buff. I've had multiple times where I've had a Blade Master plus like recurve on a unit, and I couldn't make him a Blade Master because it doesn't pop off. And so having item stacking be less relevant, or just being able to get that unit off, means that I feel a little bit worse about putting the unit on. Also, having PD Morello red buff bounce off is great. I do think that these are essentially unique items, right? Like, no unit can have more than one of these items. So that this is a good kind of introductory experience to unique items. If in the future, let's say, it becomes absurd that you can stack Rage Blades. Like, let's say Rage Blades are just broken. Getting 2 or 3 of them Rage Blades are just disgusting. They can easily make it so that, you know what, Rage Blade can no longer be stacked, and they have kind of precedence for this from this situation. Kind of like a balance valve, so to speak. I think right now these are just all quality of life buffs, but in the future this could certainly lead to kind of unique items being cut off, like one champion at a time. Kind of things. I'm surprised GA didn't make this, to be honest, because that's something that also doesn't stack, but sure, it's not a big deal. Anyways, let's keep going. New 9-piece bonuses. 9 assassins and 9 sorcerers, okay? These are definitely for like the highlight reel montage plays. These are the things that you'll probably see in my YouTube channel at some point. Toast YouTube channel at some point in time. Realistically speaking, these aren't going to be good. 9 assassins without any kind of frontline to drag and de-corner people means that they just jump in on a clumped up body. You can't get to the back line, you get exploded up into pieces. Sorcerer buff, unless you're getting triple Sorc spat, like, this is actually more reasonable, I would say, because putting this on, like, I don't know, Aatrox or Varus, you can just one-shot the entire team comp. I do think, though, that like this doesn't really matter because Dragon Claws are still broken in the game. The one thing I'm really sad about, and we're kind of past how we talked about, there's items over here, but maybe I think that like Dragon Claws kind of run the meta right now, alongside Dragon Synergy. I think 83% reduction is kind of too much. Definitely kind of wish that they nerfed it a little bit lower so that you can actually have more late game spell damage stuff. But there's a reason why 6 sorcerer comps don't make it right now, because they're only really good against like non-dragon oriented comps. And if dragon's a majority of the meta, then sorcerers can never really shine. So 9 sorcerers, cute, but not seeing any play in the current meta. Wild, we've added some extra power to 4 wild pieces. The 4 wild pieces actually get benefit for 4 wild. We think it's going to be wild. Okay, aside from Freak, who obviously wrote the last line. Their basic attacks can't miss. Okay, you know what? I talked a little bit about how I thought 4 wild was just garbage. You never see me run 4 wild or anyone run 4 wild because the basis from your 2 wild to 4 wild means that your units do not get kind of anything else. I think this is kind of a great thing to have in the game. This isn't actually all that powerful, right? This is okay in the current meta, and you'd only still run wild in one type of composition. Wild, shapeshifter, sorcerers. Almost every other composition doesn't really make sense. You can't really run it that well, mainly because the 4 wild units don't really have that much synergy outside maybe the Nidalee Gnar. and some of the other ones don't really scale too well. But I think that having this is super, super nice. The benefits of not missing cannot be understated. It's a really, really strong kind of synergistic counter to Yordles. And 6 Yordles isn't really powerful right now, but you'll always see a lot of 3 Yordle compositions. So I talked about Yordle sorcerers being very common at the moment. Stuff like Kennen, the 2 Yordle sorcerers, or like Poppy, Kennen, and the Yordle sorcerer are very, very common at the moment. And being able to kind of get a synergy counter is really, really nice. So actually, this has good precedence, or sets a good precedence for the game, because right now I think there's not enough synergy counters in the game. I think certain synergies should beat up other synergies, or should be things that you could potentially want to tech in to beat other synergies. At the moment, you beat synergies through items. Oh, there's a lot of shitty sorcerers in this game, I better put on Dragon's Claw. Or like there's a lot of Yordles in this game, I'm gonna put an RFC on my Rengar. And I think that's cool, but generally speaking, that like being able to tech in certain pieces to kind of counter the board state on a synergy standpoint will make the games feel better. Now, generally speaking, I think 4 Wild is still gonna be whatever, it's not gonna be a big deal, but just having the extra benefit of additional stuff is very, very nice. Additionally, I think that 4 Wild this will set a direct counter to what could potentially be the meta next patch. They've already leaked that the next patch has Yordle Spatula, so the power of 6 Yordles is going to be at an all-time high. Because the only reason 6 Yordles sucks right now is because Triss blows and doesn't fit the comp at all. But if you can have one less dead unit and one more like super great unit, then the idea of 6 Yordles seems incredible. And having this already be in the game so that everyone can think, oh, this guy's going 6 Yordle. My lobbies have 4 6 Yordle players. Well, I'm going to start teching in Wild, is great, at least from my perspective. I really like being able to tech in synergies to counter stuff. So this is good. I really like it in the game. Is it going to have any direct impact on you as a player? Not really. It buffs the 4 Wild a little bit into 3 Sorcerer comps that are currently meta, but it's not going to make a big deal because, again, there's only one comp you really run it with, and that composition isn't very high. But I still think I like that they put it in the game. General trade adjustments. Elemental's Golem went up. Don't necessarily know if this is necessary. Night damage reduction went up from 3, 4, and 6 piece. I don't necessarily know if the 4 piece need to go up. 4 piece Knights is already a very common mid game opener on stage 3. As you transition to other things, I do think the 6 Knight reduction should increase. I think 6 Knights, it's very difficult to get. I've been thinking about getting 6 Knights. Outside of Knight Spatula, I just feel like it's impossible. And no one ever Knight Spat stuff. So this might encourage Knight Spatting a little bit better. So I think the 6 Knights being better is cool. It's great. I like it a lot. Assassin Jump Delay goes up to 0.95. Goes up by, from 0.325, it goes up by 0.07. It probably makes it so that you can decorner more. Especially when you play Assassins, a lot of times the corner units won't decorner that well. Especially against Elementalists, the Golem tends to block routes and makes them stop for a little bit. This is just to make it more consistent. I'm all about that. I literally had a game last game where my colleague got trapped in the corner, so anytime where we can kind of make Assassins more consistent is great, because if Assassins, at the very least, you'll have a streamlined Assassin gameplay and you can just nerf the composition, the strength of the composition. But if the play of the composition feels bad and you can't nerf it without it feeling terrible, then there's a problem. So I always am down to buff their consistency and nerf their actual raw damage if that's a problem. Anyways, let's keep going. Champions. So tier 1, Camille is the worst unit in the game. Buffs to her, great. Elise Spiderling attack damage. Elise is probably a second or third worst unit in the game. Elise buffs, great. Graves armor went up. Actually, Graves is pretty bad. But he can kind of carry early game because he can apply red buff to people, or he's a weird frontliner in the sense that he does frontline splash damage. So potentially could be a really strong carry for you. But he's very, very squishy. He has a very low base HP. Increasing the armor and And buffing like gunslingers in general, I would say pretty good because gunslingers are pretty bad in general. Casting 80 nerf, thank God. And not for any casting nerfs. Right now, Void Assassins are too strong, so being able to get tier 3 casting, it doesn't sound like much, but I mean 5 AD, because of how crit multiplies by like 300%, ends up being quite a bit of damage over the course of, or a decent amount of damage over the course of. I'm down. Thank God for casting nerfs. Kha'Zix starting mana goes up to 65 to nerf Void Assassins as well. We talked a little bit about how Kha'Zix and Void Assassins were powerful, so these are two direct Void Assassin nerfs, pretty much. Or Void nerfs. Tier 2, Pike starting mana goes down to 50. Wow. Holy shit. I did not see a Pike nerf. Like, the unit's strong, don't get me wrong. I think if you get 2 tiers worth of mana, he autos and immediately goes, that's crazy. But that is a pretty insane Pike nerf. Like, holy shit. I think to get 25 mana, you need to auto 2 times more. So there's a good chance putting a tier 1 Pike, he won't ulti without tier until after your initial burst is done if you're playing Assassin comps. This feels really bad. It feels like now where mana on Pike was a good thing, mana on Pike is now a necessary thing to make him function. Ouch. Pretty sad nerf right here. Pirate or Twisted Fate health and mana went up. This is actually great. The mana going up from 35 to 50 is a huge thing, and the health is as well. Honestly, TF is probably one of the least used units in the game. So being able to find a niche for him is super good. Also remember, I think he restores his own mana, and it costs 50 mana for him to pick a card. So at tier 2 TF, if he picks a blue card, he immediately gets mana to pick a blue card again. Which means that the added value of flat mana for TF is worth quite a bit. Because essentially you could start a blue card chain with like 2 ships. So could be really interesting. 50 flat mana is definitely nothing to scoff at. I definitely am going to be trying TF, and I think he's going to have like a somewhat good niche in multiple sorcerer comps. The biggest problem is the current meta kind of enforces 3 sorcerers, because I said 6 sorcerers is suicide in the dragon comps. So it's hard to fit in TF at the moment. Not only is he relatively weak, like he just doesn't have a slot synergy wise. I don't know if this is going to change that much. Certainly if 6 sorcerer comps came back, I feel like TF would make the cut easily. But no dragon nerfs, no dice, unfortunately. Tier 3, Evelynn execute threshold. Okay, well, Eve is a pretty big deal. I don't think an execute should at any point have a threshold above 50%, or even above like 35%. Like, it feels really weird to get executed at 65%. That doesn't make really much sense to me. Nerfing it down to 50%, nerfing the multiplier down to 4 this is great. This is what I expected, because Evelynn's strength she's a little bit too powerful. She doesn't even see that much play. She's definitely a mid-game carry, but tends to fall off. So you expect to see a little bit less of her. I doubt you'd stack her much right now anyways, and you're definitely not going to stack her much later. Cat mana going down is a pretty big buff to her. Realistically speaking, the cat dream is to get 5 tiers, right? Because you end up getting you end up like autoing immediately on 5 tiers. Right now you can get 4 tiers, 1 auto will immediately kind of pop her off. I do think cat damage is actually kind of wild, and the idea of kind of making cat strong is that she should be somewhat of a glass cannon, like she is in the real League of Legends. This is a lot of interesting kind of. This is pretty interesting in my opinion. Generally speaking, I think that maybe that there is a spot for Katarina in demon comps now. Because I think if you've ever seen like a Demon Gnar and how fast Demon Gnar ultis, Demon Gnar will ulti in 2 autos if he gets lucky on a 4 demon proc. And Cat has less max mana now than Gnar by quite a bit. So I can easily see Cat getting 2 autos and ulting. And remember, Cat ulti has absolutely no need for 6 assassins. She can function well on a 3 assassin or 0 assassin variant. And so that's really, really interesting. I think demoning Cat or Seraph's Cat would be very powerful going into future games. Again, the biggest problem with this is not so much the Katarina, but so much that dragons are meta, and so generally just hard counter magic damage. But definitely something to think about. Akali AP damage. Okay, Akali sucks ass. Right now, I will not take an Akali over a tier 2. Like, I wouldn't take a tier 2 Akali over a tier 2 Zed. The only time I would consider it is if I had 3 sorcerers in the comp, which by the way isn't a composition. That would never work. Or if I had like a Zed1 and a Akali 2. Or like if I had Seraphs instead of like physical damage stuff. But for the most part, Akali never makes a cut, but she's just too weak. Buffs to her in general, really good in my opinion. She's just a really, like a tier 4 unit should be very, very powerful. But at the moment, almost every comp prefers Zed over Akali just to the raw like attack damage value. And again, Akali's value is kind of low due to dragons as well. So I'm happy to see any kind of Akali buffs. I think as the only tier 4 assassin, she's pretty weak right now. And maybe this will help Ninja Assassins come back or Ninja Elementalists come back. Tier 5, Anivia ulti duration. Okay, they increased the amount of damage over seconds. Anivia's problem is her AI is absolute ass. Just let me get should be powerful against range corner stackers. Put the AI to like the farthest unit, and then let me feel bad if they outposition me, as opposed to me feeling bad because my Anivia is an idiot. I've used Anivia quite a bit in the last week or so to try to make her work in Elementalist comps, and she has been underperforming a lot. And it's not her damage is bad or her utility is bad, she just missed targets. And it's really frustrating, actually, super frustrating. Like, maybe she attacks the highest attack, her AI should just be something interesting, like she ultis the highest attack speed unit, or she, like someone just said, or the farthest unit away, like anything to kind of make her more consistent would be better than any additional buffs. Pantheon got hit again. The Pantheon, I feel like, has gotten hit with every nerf under the sun, and he's still a good unit. Actually, had a hotfix that nerfed every stat of his by 20%, and they're nerfing his health by 150 and his 80. This is kind of less relevant, I'm gonna be honest, but wow. He's still gonna be okay. Like, the fact that he implies Morellos means that and stuns for 2 seconds means he'll always be like, have some point in a team comp. So, Item BF AD went down, direct nerf to assassin oriented comps, and BF value I would say on GA is really high. BF is probably the best item right now at the moment, most flexible because of how strong GA is and how strong Void Assassins are. So that's pretty interesting. Frozen Heart duration goes up more than a full second, which is very valuable. I think you'd see this a little bit more on Assassins nowadays. I put it on Eve, I put it on Pike. Frozen Heart is actually, because Assassins jump over the whole team comp, Frozen Heart gives you a lot of value in Assassins. So I actually like Frozen Heart quite a bit at the moment. Lockets went up by 50 for 1 more second. Yeah, at some value, Locket's going to be good. I think we're starting to approach the point where I'm like, whoa, slow down there, buddy. Because 7 seconds is a long time. Like, Dex tech duration is 7 seconds. I can pretty much guarantee you in like certain compositions, I can get your comp dead or within the 7 second cooldown, or like key units dead to where like the Locket does something important. I could definitely see 1 or 2 Lockets being built now. Like, I don't think it's bad at all. Swordbreaker, chance to disarm, went up for less time. I don't think Swordbreaker is bad. Like, it's a counter to Rengar-oriented comps as well as Assassin-oriented comps. The problem is it's like Swordbreaker's only good on Gunslingers, and Gunslingers are weak, as opposed to Swordbreakers being like a bad unit. The meta isn't well suited for Swordbreaker at the moment, with a lot of magic-oriented damage. So that's why it's seen less played in Hush. The item itself is fine. Completely okay. Yeah, like, if Gunslingers are better, sure. Oh, Zephyr advantage duration increase. Zephyr's a good item. Zephyr is actually an excellent item. Don't let people fool you. going to mid late game, especially if you're running like assassin oriented comps, you have just or any comp, like being able to disable a unit with items is like excellent. Zephyr going up, crazy good. It's a really, really strong late game item. Okay, let's look at the bug fixes real quick. Morgana's ability now works consistently on isolated summon units and neutral monsters. This unit is bugged out every neutral monster ever. Like, it just doesn't work, which is great. Zeke's no longer gives buff to enemy units if reattached after Hextech. That's interesting. Cass's ability now does true damage with 3 voids active. Okay, his ulti didn't do true damage to non-isolated targets. So that's good that they bug fixed that. Now the crazy thing is, now think about it. Void Assassins was an S tier composition with this bug in the game. So I mean they nerfed Kha'Zix and they nerfed Kasten a little bit, and they nerfed BF AD, right? So, but like I'm just saying, like Void Assassins was this powerful with a huge bug. Ludens now properly hits the main target. God fucking bless, dude. Ludens is now a buyable item on Ahri. I'm sure you can do like Ahri, TF, Lucian can now use Ludens, and you won't feel very bad about it. Great mid game spike and usable on mages late game. Cool. Camille, Evelynn will no longer dash. Camille can stop units while rooted. Okay. Demons will not gain mana if their trait is mana locked. So this is a huge buff, or like a huge buff to Hush. I just say it's a bug fix because I've had this work in my favor and against me as well. So you could have autoed, got demon buff and used ulti. I've had that beat me before, and I beat someone with it. So just for consistency's sake, I think mana lock should mana lock you completely. This is kind of a big deal. The Luden stuff are really big. Now we have Brand's ability is bouncing 2 more times than intended. And now bounces the appropriate amount of times. Brand's ulti, by the way, Brand is a disgusting unit. Let's talk a little bit about Brand. Brand is like the best range mage in the game right now, alongside Aurelion Sol. Holy shit. What? It's actually nuts. So 2 more times means that it was bouncing 50% more at level 1. So yeah, Brand 1 was actually doing way too much damage. Fix the bug where Rek'Sai was healing for half the intended amount. Oh god. Void had a lot of bugs. I had no idea. Okay, I guess looking through the change, we're a little bit worried about hyper rolling being more meta. Really like the Nikos drop. Okay, like the item stacking. Like the wild stuff. Probably has no relevance in the game, but will be more relevant in 9.19. Like the 6 Knight buff. Really like the Cat buff, the Camille Elise buffs, the Graves armor buffs, the Void nerfs, the Akali buffs. All good. And I don't know what this means. Like, I have to personally play on it to get more of a kind of idea of what the mystery box system kind of means in general, because there's no numbers attached to their changes. The one thing I have to say, and I think that this needs to, like, I think right now demons are too powerful. The ability to gain mana and to make a unit gain mana quicker than any other mana item in the game is disgusting. So the fact that I haven't seen like a nerf to like their mana gain, I don't know, man. Demons at some point have to be reworked. I think right now what they're gonna do is they're just not gonna touch demons until like next set. Like, because at the moment, the stuff I worry about is, like, Demons essentially takes the spot of Seraphs. Because Demon spatula gives you 20 mana because it doubles the mana you get. And then, if I had to ever be in a situation where I had to choose between Demon or Seraphs, there's no unit in the game I would choose Seraphs on. Demon is always better, except for maybe Akali on very specific compositions. If any composition can input in 4 demons, or at the very least 2 demons into the composition, like, I don't even know if Akali, right? Because if I'm running 6 assassins and I'm running Eve with Akali, I'd rather give Eve and Akali the power as well. I think that the amount of mana you can generate with demon is too high, and it's like kind of breaking the game a lot, because it is the best mana regeneration item regardless of your mana pool for the most part. Unless you're incredibly tiny mana pool to where like Seraphs stores a lot, or incredibly large pools like Pantheon, I would prefer Demon over Shojin. And I think that's a really big problem. I don't think Demon should be better than Premier Mana items in the game. Fix it, Riot. Demon's too broken.